This week, we're going to talk about the next intriguing question in my series. Whatever happened to poverty in art? You won't find many pictures of poverty in Britain's art of the 21st century. You won't find many pictures of poverty throughout the world of Western art. Pictures of poverty have been taken over by photographers. But we know that the artist, through his work, the painter, enhances the image to increase the impact. Well, here's a picture painted by Jean-Francois Millet of poverty. It's called The Gleaners. These three women are working in a field somewhere, possibly in Normandy, gathering wisps of wheat. They are working just after the harvest. The farmer is still sitting on his horse, looking at them from a distance. And there are one or two labourers staring. This is a perfectly legal thing under French law in the 19th century. Gleaning was allowed for the poor of the community to go in and remove what was left after the harvest. They would work all day in the burning sun. Their hands were burnt black, their feet were burnt black, they had to be wrapped up against the sunshine. There is no guarantee that they would have collected 700 grams, sufficient for 700 grams of flour to make a 600-gram loaf of bread. 700 grams of flour would have been the yield of half an acre of normal wheat. The extraordinary thing about this picture is it is a very, very beautiful picture. The elegance of the women working, their bent backs, doing this heartbreaking job, seems to emphasise the punishing nature of their task, but it is still a lovely painting to look at. I could go through my library and I could pick a picture from virtually anywhere in any book of poverty by artists. For example, my eternal favourite, an old friend, Rembrandt. This is a picture of beggars begging for alms at the door. In one way, it's a very beautiful picture. But it's showing poverty, the respect for poverty by the old man who's handing out the alms, but the general fact that poverty existed. Poverty does not have to be represented by anguish, does not have to be represented by pain. It can be rather beautiful, as it is in this picture. Obviously, Rembrandt rang a bell with his public because they bought many of his etchings, and many of them showed old people that were disabled, old people that were poverty-stricken. And these beggars at the door receiving alms is a typical example. Amongst my pick of pictures, I could have shown you something entirely different. This is by Kath Kollwitz. She painted in Germany after the First World War. She was an activist, very, very strong activist. And her paintings ache. They ache like the worst ache you've ever had. This is a drawing of a child that has died in her mother's arms through starvation. It is still, may I use the word, the most stunning picture. Its drama, its strength, its power to arouse is nevertheless there. And there are several paintings, several drawings several works by Kath Kollwitz, which seem to be hardly known in this country. So as I said, you won't find paintings like this amongst Britain's national treasures, frontline big ticket artists like Hockney, Peter Blake, Tracey Emin. I'm trying to think of another at the moment. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perhaps those are suffice. Of course, our eternal Damien Hirst. These people only deal in ideas, their own ideas. I am not condemning them, but I sometimes rue the fact that we seem to have abandoned pictures of poverty in Western art. There was a great, there is an interesting anecdote about the great portrait painter and landscape painter, Gainsborough, the Suffolk man, like me. Not really. Gainsborough asked Joshua Reynolds, his fellow portraitist, another British treasure, he said, "Can you tell me, I can't sell my landscape paintings." And Reynolds said to him, "You must put people in them, then you will sell them. And you must put poor people in them." So Gainsborough put poor people in his landscapes. But the trouble was that he put poor people presented as jolly poor people, plump housewives with plump children, everybody looking clean and scrubbed up. Mind you, he still sold his landscapes. So there is a moral in there somewhere. Next week we will be looking at, next time, we will be looking at another subject that seems to have been kicked into the long grass or hidden in a cupboard. And that will be whatever happened to the little people in art. Thank you.